All right, guys, once again, I am Tom Downey. That is Mitchell Renz alongside me. You've been doing it in the comment section. I'm sure you've heard it by now. If you haven't, Jalen Ramsey has asked for a trade from the Jacksonville Jaguars. He wants out. Maybe you saw the little argument that Ramsey and Doug Marrone got into along the sidelines. I will make note, and I don't know if I tweeted this out or not. The whole thing was very interesting to me because when players intercede, they always intercede on the guy that's being the aggressor, right?
Yep.
They did not separate Ramsey from Doug Marrone. They separated Marrone from Ramsey. I think Doug Marrone was to blame for that incident.
I think Doug Marrone would absolutely win in a fight against Jalen Ramsey. Doug Marrone is a big dude.
I'm still going to take the pro athlete against every NFL
Have you seen Doug Marrone?
Still going to take Jalen Ramsey.
Muscle Marrone, dude. I'm telling you right now, in a fight, Doug Marrone is whooping Jalen Ramsey.
It's fine.
I mean, I can't take anybody in a fight with hairdo like that.
Okay, I suppose that's a somewhat valid point there in the end. Now, we know Ramsey is unhappy right now in Jacksonville, unhappy with his usage.
Yep.
There's been more zone in Jacksonville as opposed to the man-to-man coverage that he loves. There's been times where he's allegedly gone rogue. In the end, he's a top-tier cornerback who oftentimes those guys are kind of head cases.
Yeah, he's a diva. I mean,
Yeah.
But I would say he's the best cornerback under the age of 25 right now in the NFL. I think what he can do for man-to-man, he can shut down the side of the field. And one of the things, when I really measure a cornerback, Jalen wants man-to-man coverage against the best guy. He wanted DeAndre Hopkins. You want to talk to a player, talk to DeAndre Hopkins how good Jalen Ramsey is.
He's a great player. The production has been fairly consistent in terms of the stat sheet. About 65 tackles, about 15 pass breakups, and about 3 interceptions. That's the steady production so far from Jalen Ramsey, but he's clearly unhappy in Jacksonville right now. So far, his stats this year in terms of targets and receptions allowed, just the 1 pass breakup so far, of course, no interception, so he's not quite on pace to that 15 quite yet. I don't think he's happy with his usage. In the end, he wants out. Now, what Jacksonville wants here, by the way, in exchange, is they want at least a first-round pick, which I think makes sense. They have a top-tier cornerback. That's about, I think, the right value for Jalen Ramsey.
I think they should get that.
I don't know if they'll get that necessarily, though, because he only has a year left on his contract.
True.
That's
and he wants
always
the bag.
dicey.
The dude literally showed up in a Brinks truck.
This year in his 5th-year team option.
I mean, I see some people commenting on his stats. I mean, he also went up against DeAndre Hopkins, and he went up against the and against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
I think arguable right now, probably some of the best offenses in the entire NFL. So just because he's not putting up big numbers, I still think Jalen Ramsey is one of the best cornerbacks, if not the best cornerback in the entire NFL.
So let us know in the comment section, folks. What is your one-word reaction to Jalen Ramsey's trade request? Mitch, I'll put you on the spot here. What's your one-word reaction?
Raiders.
Okay. That's a good one right there. It's technically an answer to what team should trade for Jalen Ramsey, but it is still one word, so I'm going to allow it there.
I appreciate that. I want Jalen Ramsey to go to a team that is just going to use him the right way. It's going to play a lot of man coverage because Jalen Ramsey is fun to watch. In 2017, when they were the best team or the best defense in the NFL, it's because they played a lot of man. And last year, the Jags, they were on the football field more than any other team.
I see some people say shocking. I agree with Tony, though. Unsurprising.
Yeah.
This didn't seem like it was going to last in the end. Remember, there was the trade rumors last year.
Somebody says Cowboys.
Yeah, we'll do some of that in the Q&A. Don't expect Dallas to trade for Jalen Ramsey. That's not their MO right now. We'll take you, though, through some teams that do make sense for Jalen Ramsey. And, Mitchell, we'll start with the Oakland Raiders. So you mentioned Raiders. You're the Raiders Report host. What do you make of this?
The Raiders were absolutely torched by Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
And they just lost Johnathan Abram. And if the Raiders really want to prove, Tom, that they want to win this last year in Oakland, you go out and you go get yourself an elite cornerback in Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey on a podcast 3 months ago said, there's 2 teams that I want to play for, the Tennessee Titans or the Oakland Raiders. You insert Jalen Ramsey, and you want to put Garyon Conley there too. I think this is then the best 2 quarterback duo in the entire NFL. Raiders have 2 first-round picks. They have $26.6 million in cap space, the 4th most in the NFL because some guy named Antonio Clown.
Ooh, FAB in the comments section.
FAB in the comments section, absolutely love it, is no longer there. So now you got some extra money. Go out and get Jalen Ramsey.
What would you offer?
I would offer a first-round pick. I'm trying to think. I would say the Raiders' lowest first-round pick, and then potentially either a receiver, because I don't really think the Jags have many good receivers. At this point, maybe they need a quarterback now. I would say the lowest first-round pick at this point, so.
All right, let's move on to our next team fit here, the Kansas City Chiefs. They are 2-0. Their defense, though, is not very good. I also think they make a lot of sense for Minka Patrick if they want to make him into a corner, but we've dealt with Minka later on here. The Chiefs need, I believe, a number 1 cornerback. I like Kendall Fuller quite a bit. I think he's a very good nickel cornerback in particular.
Nickel.
Who's their outside cornerback? They are lacking in that position right now. They've got Brashad Breeland, Travarius Ward. Those are your top guys. That's just not going to get the job done in the end. I have no doubts about that.
And if I'm the Chiefs, I'm like, okay, there's one team I got to worry about. It is the New England Patriots. Who the Patriots, they just went out and got Antonio Brown. If the only team that I think honestly scares the Chiefs at this point in the AFC and maybe even in the entire NFL is the New England Patriots. And last season, the team that took them out of the playoffs was the Patriots. So maybe if you go out, you get Jalen Ramsey, who can maybe match up one-on-one with an Antonio Brown, maybe that's the difference maker. Because I really don't know if the Patriots, as great as they are, if they can keep up with the Chiefs offense.
They'll get Morris Claiborne back from a suspension in the near future, but if he's the answer to your question of how do we beat the Patriots, you're going to end up disappointed. Just ask any Jets or Cowboys fan out there. You bring in Jalen Ramsey when you need cornerback help, that's a huge boost for them.
If Jalen Ramsey goes to the Kansas City Chiefs, you and I both had the Chiefs at number 2, Patriots at number 1. Jalen Ramsey goes to the Kansas City Chiefs, and we want to know from everyone who's watching.
I already had him in the Super Bowl, so there's your answer.
Patriots better, but the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl. Hey, with Jalen Ramsey, I'll tell you what, I would switch him. Chiefs would be number 1, Patriots number 2.
All right, next up here, the San Francisco 49ers. Many of you mentioned in the comment section. I happen to agree with you guys there. I think Ramsey is a fantastic fit for the Niners defense. In fact, I know it is because the original Jags defense and the Niners defense comes from the same Seattle type of defensive schemes. Their secondary was not great last year.
Only 2 interceptions.
They didn't make enough plays on the ball. Ahkello Witherspoon has shown more promise this year. Jason Verrett, though, is always hurt. You can make Verrett your number 4. You can throw in DJ Reed in a potential trade. Jags get a decent enough corner there. I want to see Tavares Moore play more free safety. All of a sudden, Ramsey, Sherman on the outside. Your pass rush looks way better with D. Ford and Bosa.
Yep.
And your interior guys like DeForest Buckner. All of a sudden, this Niners defense is a lot better. I said 7-9 in an earlier video.
Yep.
I think they're going to be pushing for a playoff spot there in what is, again, a good NFC West.
It's a good NFC West, but if you're Jalen Ramsey, I feel like you want to go to a team that's in win-now mode. Sure, the 49ers might say that they're in win-now mode, and yes, they're 2-0.
Continue.
If I'm Jalen Ramsey, I do not want to go to the 49ers.
Then I think Ramsey also wants to go to a team that is going to use him properly, and most importantly, allow him to get the bag.
Yeah.
Guess what the Niners have plenty of? They have enough money to make it work.
Well, there are the 49ers. Gold mine there.
Good joke there, Mitch. All right, next up, the Tennessee Titans. Mitch, this was kind of your idea because you threw it out there about the podcast. Why don't you explain what happened there?
So he was on a podcast about 3-4 months ago on some random bus in Tennessee, and he said the 2 teams that he would want to play for, the Tennessee Titans and the Oakland Raiders. Now, I personally think that he was kind of just forced in to saying that he wanted to be a Titan because he's literally on a bus with 2 players that used to be Titans. Plus, he's from Tennessee, so that was kind of the arrangement there. But I just can't see the Jags trading Jalen Ramsey to a divisional rival.
I understand where you're coming from, and maybe the price tag is higher. At the same time, and I hate how teams take this approach, if you are an NFL franchise, if you are so worried about trading away a player to a divisional rival, then guess what? You shouldn't be trading him. Tennessee needs cornerback help. If they present the best offer and you're apparently willing to move on from Jalen Ramsey, then you should do it.
Especially for a team,
absolutely do it.
Especially for a Titans team that's been 9-7 the last 3 years. And the Titans, to me, are this up and down team, right? I mean, you go out, you beat the Browns in Cleveland 43-13. The very next week, you lose to Jacoby Brissett and the Colts. This AFC South is one that I have no idea how it's going to go.
Who do you have? Colts, Texans, Titans, or Dolphins?
Who designed that?
Yeah. Why are the Dolphins in there, guys?
I have no idea.
We'll get that graphic fixed
Who
for
wins
you.
the AFC South? That's why I was laughing.
Because one of those teams is not like the other one, so we'll get that fixed here for you.
I would say the Texans. So let's go to the Seattle Seahawks.
All right, the Seahawks, they are next up here, 1-1. I like this fit a lot. I kind of threw this one in kind of late. I'm a big fan of the idea of Seattle. They don't have a third-round pick, or they have one less third-round pick because of the Clowney trade. But they still are looking for defensive help. I mean, look, they let Andy Dalton throw for 400-plus yards on.
It's Andy Dalton, though. It's the Red Rifle, baby.
It's not,
If
though,
it's
that's the
daytime,
thing.
Andy Dalton is slinging the football.
So look at this secondary right now for Seattle. That ain't the Legion of Boom. Now, I still like Shaquille Griffin. He's a good player.
Legion of Doom. Oh, my Lord.
The Trey Flowers, I don't consider a starting caliber cornerback.
How many wins do the Seahawks have this year?
How many wins will they have?
I'm saying they have 2 wins. They're undefeated. With that secondary.
Crazy, right?
Yeah,
Crazy.
mind-blowing.
All right, so anyway, Ugo Amadi, I like as a nickel corner. Bradley McDougall, safeties are not great. But if you move Griffin over to the number 2, Flowers becomes your backup there. What do you make of that team overall, Mitch?
I mean, considering the fact that this division has 3 teams that are 2-0, and all the fact that they're going to be battling for some serious playoff spots here. Obviously, you insert a player like Jalen Ramsey, it's going to help. And the Seahawks are trying to make moves. Heck, you don't go out and trade for Jadeveon Clowney if you're not trying to win a little bit. Plus, you just paid Russell Wilson a bunch. If you want to really run the football, the Seattle Seahawks last year led the NFL in total rush attempts. A great way to be able to run the football is by having an outstanding defense, and Jalen Ramsey helps you do that.
All right, our last team on here, and feel free to throw out others in the comments and for the Q&A coming up, the Philadelphia Eagles. Many commenters were like, if you don't put the Eagles in here,
That
you're
was
dumb.
Refund HDs.
Don't
if
worry.
you don't put them in there, you guys are idiots.
We gotcha. Now, the Eagles' MO has always been to call.
Yep.
They're going to call Phil. They're going to call the Jags. I can pretty much promise you there. This secondary isn't what it was at its peak, and frankly, it just hasn't been good enough. Hasn't been that good. It needs help. So for the Eagles, who, frankly, I don't think they have a true number. I don't think they have a true number 1 corner. I don't think they have one right now. They have Darby. They have Rasul Douglas, Avonte Maddox. I like in the nickel. Sidney Jones has not been the same guy after that injury. They have to get somebody else in there. So for the Eagles, they need help. I think Eagles fans know it. If they can find a way to swing Ramsey, which is tough from a monetary perspective long term,
Okay.
but they've been aggressive before. They like to play with the comp pick formula.
Okay.
Is a first-round pick, even if you lose him in a year and a half, enough for Jalen Ramsey? No, you can get a third-round pick back as well.
If you're the Philadelphia
comp pick
Eagles,
process.
I think right now you have to be in total all-in mode because I think right now is their time to win. Plus, you got to be going up against, a team like the Dallas Cowboys. Here's my thing. You always rip on the Steelers for not being able to draft certain players or being able to, not draft their safeties. Am I the only one that thinks the Eagles are absolutely terrible with their cornerbacks? I think every single time they go out and get a good cornerback in quotes, it just doesn't work. Namdi Asamoah.
Yeah, I was about to make that same
perfect
comment
example. One of my friends in college literally goes out, buys a Namdi Asamoah jersey, and for some reason would literally sign his name on checks, certain things, like Namdi Asamoah. I have no idea how this man is not in jail.
That's
Regardless,
weird. That's
the
very
Eagles,
weird
the
story
Eagles
you
to
have
me
there.
are a team that is not good with cornerbacks. So I personally do not want to see Jalen Ramsey go to the Eagles.
All right, let us know in the comments section then, folks. What team should trade for Jalen Ramsey? Let us know in the comments section. Mitch, you can only pick one. Which team needs him the most?
Honestly,
You can't pick the Oakland Raiders. I'm gonna throw in that caveat.
the team that needs him the most to me is the Kansas City Chiefs, and I say that because if you want to beat the New England Patriots, you go out and get Jalen Ramsey.
Good pick. I see Chiefs or Eagles. I see some Browns in there. I don't really love that one. Steelers, Saints, others that make sense, but money's a little bit tight for those franchises. Someone says Bears. I actually think they're fine at corner. Also, they have not enough money there. Ravens are in there. I thought about them
Jalen
as well.
Ramsey, Garner Minshew for Mr. Trubisky.
Stop
Who
it.
says no?
The Bears hang up the phone and never call you again.
I don't know.
That's who says no.